The movie begins with a happy family. Ella is living a good life with her family, but things change when her mother gets sick and passes away. Before her mother dies, she makes Ella promise to stay kind and face life with bravery. Ella and her father try to adjust to this new situation. As Ella grows older, her father remarries a woman named Lady Tremaine, who is a widow with 2 daughters. Ella isn't happy about this, but she accepts them because of her love for her father. At party, Ella feels out of place and goes to her animal friends. Later, Ella learns that her father is leaving town for work, and they share an emotional moment. Lady Tremaine overhears this and becomes jealous of the love between Ella and her father. She feels like Ella is getting the attention that she herself deserves. After Ella's father leaves, Lady Tremaine gives Ella's room to her daughters and makes Ella live in the attic. Ella stays there with her animal friends and thinks that at least she won't have to deal with her stepsisters and stepmother. But she was wrong. Lady Tremaine and the stepsisters start treating Ella badly, making her do all the housework like a servant. Then, her father's servant returns alone and tells Ella that her father got sick and died. This news makes Ella very sad, and it feels like her life has fallen apart. She is heartbroken not only by her father's death, but also by the thought of being alone with her cruel stepmother. Lady Tremaine sends all the household servants away, so Ella is forced to do all the work, like washing, cooking, and cleaning. She only gets to eat leftover food, which she shares with her mouse friends. To avoid climbing the stairs and dealing with the cold, Ella starts sleeping on the kitchen floor. Her face becomes dirty with ashes, so her stepsisters start calling her Cinderella. Feeling upset and hopeless, Ella rides off into the woods. There, she sees a stag being hunted by the prince and his men. She tells the stag to run away. Suddenly, her horse gets out of control, but the prince helps her. He introduces himself as a palace servant named Kit. They begin to like each other, but Ella leaves without telling him her name. Meanwhile, the prince's father is very sick. The prince's father, the king, tells him to find a bride at the royal ball so that he can pass his responsibilities to him. The prince, hoping to see Ella again, asks that everyone, both rich and poor, be invited to the ball. The king agrees. When Ella hears about the ball, she tells Lady Tremaine, hoping to go and meet Kit, the prince. But Lady Tremaine ignores her and talks to her daughters, saying that if the prince likes one of them, she will marry them off to him. Meanwhile, the prince is distracted by thoughts of Ella and worries that the king might not accept her, as he expects him to marry a princess. Ella doesn't have a dress for the ball, so she starts making one herself in the attic. On the day of the ball, Lady Tremaine and her daughters get ready, and when Ella shows up in her mother's dress, they insult her and tear it apart, stopping her from going to the ball. They leave, and Ella is heartbroken. She cries near the pond in the garden. Ella meets an old lady. She gives her some milk, and the old lady transforms into a beautiful fairy godmother. The fairy godmother uses magic to turn a pumpkin into a carriage, mice into horses, lizards into footmen, and a goose into a coachman so Ella can attend the ball. She also transforms Ella's torn dress into a stunning gown and gives her glass slippers. Ella worries that her step-family will recognize her, so the fairy godmother casts a spell to make her unrecognizable. She also warns Ella that the magic will wear off at midnight, and everything will return to normal, so Ella must leave before the clock strikes 12. Excited, Ella heads straight to the palace for the ball. There, people from every kingdom arrive, but the prince is still waiting for someone special. He seems restless, and to avoid his father's questions, he calls a princess over. Just then, Ella enters the palace, and everyone stops to admire her. The prince is overjoyed to see her. The crowd makes way for the two of them, and Ella thinks of the prince as just a servant. She feels happy to be with Kit, but wonders why everyone is staring at them. Kit tells her that they are captivated by her beauty. They start dancing together, creating a magical moment that everyone watches with delight. Although Lady Tremaine doesn't recognize Ella, she feels jealous of her dancing with the prince. So, she sends one of her daughters to dance with Kit instead. After their dance, the prince takes Ella to a private room. Ella is surprised to realize that Kit is actually the prince. He apologizes and helps calm her down. In a main hall, everyone is curious about who the mysterious girl is, but no one knows her or where she came from. The prince takes Ella to a secret garden, a place he has never shared with anyone before. There, he gives her a swing to enjoy. While they're talking, Ella accidentally drops her glass slipper. The prince kneels down to help her put it back on. He asks for her name, but Ella suddenly remembers that it's almost midnight. Without saying anything, she runs away. Kit chases after her, and as she's running, she encounters the king. She tells him that his son is a good man and that Kit loves him. Then, Ella continues to flee, and the king watches her go. In her hurry, she leaves her shoe on the staircase. Kit follows her, but she hops onto a cart and drives away. The prince finds Ella's glass slipper. Meanwhile, the captain and soldiers are sent to chase after Ella. As the clock strikes midnight, everyone at the castle begins to change back to their original forms. The lizard closes the castle door, but Ella's shoe remains unchanged, while the prince has the other slipper. Ella walks home in the rain. When she sees her stepsisters coming, she quickly hides the shoe. After finishing her chores, she excitedly writes about the day's events in her diary. Back at the palace, the king falls ill and gives the prince permission to marry someone he truly loves, urging him to find that girl soon. Unfortunately, the king dies shortly after. As the new king, Kit announces that any girl who can bring the matching shoe will become his bride. Ella runs home happily, searching for the shoe in the attic, but she realizes that Lady Tremaine has already taken it. Tremaine gives Ella the shoe, but only on the condition that Ella takes her stepsisters to the palace to marry them off to noblemen. Ella refuses. In anger, Tremaine takes the shoe and locks Ella in the attic. The prince declares that he will find Ella at any cost. The Grand Duke warns him that if he can't find her, he must marry the princess that the king chose before he died. Kit agrees, but is determined to find Ella. The Grand Duke tells the prince to stay at the palace while he goes with the captain to try the shoe on every girl in the kingdom. However, the shoe doesn't fit anyone. Finally, they arrive at Ella's house. Her stepsisters try on the shoe, but it doesn't fit them either. Just then, a bird opens the attic window, and everyone hears Ella singing. The captain orders them to bring that girl, but Lady Tremaine insists there's no one there. The young duke also wants to leave, but the prince, disguised in soldier clothes, steps forward and demands to meet the girl. Ella is brought down from the attic, and the king is happy to see her and finally proposes to her, offering her the shoe. Ella goes with the prince, and she forgives her step-family, just as her mother had asked her to. In the final scenes, Ella and Kit get married in front of everyone. They live happily ever after, creating a joyful ending to the story.